Telemarketer Tamika Horton is suing her former property manager for a gas bill, rent, and a deposit. Defendant Joseph Fuga says she refused to pay rent, so he evicted her.
Ms. Horton, you're suing your former landlord, Mr. Fuga, and you say that you should be entitled to recover all of your rent, a gas bill, and your deposit. You say you rented a house from the defendant that had a faulty boiler, creating a high gas bill, and you suffered consequences because of the equipment fault.
Yes, Your Honor.
You first, please, ma'am.
Hello.
Ms. Horton?
In September, Your Honor, me and my fiance were looking for a bigger home. We were staying in a 2-bedroom home, and I had just had another baby. So we found a very affordable place. Our range was up to $900 monthly. We were already paying $875. And
So how big was this house?
It was a 3-bedroom colonial, living room, dining room.
About 2,700 square feet.
But like I said, we were already paying $875, so the price in the house, it was okay. So we met up, we called, it was on a Sunday. We met with him. He was a very nice guy. We viewed the home. We agreed for the home. We paid first month and security deposit that day, and that was September 17th. They asked if it was okay if we could move in October because they had to do something to one of the electric outlets in the bathtub upstairs. So we said, okay. We didn't even get to move in October. Around the first week of October, I started calling Joe, like, you know, hey, what's going on? The boiler is not fixed. So we called DTE, and they said that it was not, you know, set up for gas. The chimney, it was a pipe to the boiler to the chimney that was supposed to be fixed. The boiler was not able to be lit. It was messed up down there. So they called a crew out to come and fix it. The guy came down there and he met DTE, and when they fixed it, DTE still told them they couldn't turn it on because the basement tested positive for asbestos. My fiance called Joe. Joe told him that he would have somebody get over there, one of his repairmen. He dropped a 16-year-old boy off over there by himself. He came out, scrubbed everything off the pipes, took everything down.
And a 16-year-old?
A 16-year-old boy. And once he knew the boiler was messed up, I was calling him every day, and he told me he couldn't tell me what time the repairman was coming out. He's not his father. But here I am sitting in a house in 7-degree weather with me and my children with 7 space heaters plugged up in my house with blankets over walls trying to keep warm. And Joe,
well,
you know,
that's electricity.
That's electricity because I couldn't get gas in the wintertime.
Well, you got gas, didn't you?
I didn't get gas until the end of November, Your Honor. The thing was, after that, my son started going back and forth to the hospital for respiratory problems, and I figured that it was from the house because before then, my child had never had any problems with his respiratory.
Which one? The 9?
No, the 1-year-old.
1-year-old.
Yes, sir. But at the same time...
Isn't that kind of a stretch? Plus, you don't have any medical proof to that effect.
Yes, sir. The thing is that I paid for a house, and my contract said that if my house was not in livable conditions, that I was entitled to my money back. And Joe, you know that I called you that next month.
Well, your Landlord-Tenant Act in Michigan does require that you do certain things to perfect any remedy that you have, such as sending a certified letter to the landlord
with what you want
on or before the rent's due, saying that if these matters are not repaired, then they will be repaired, and monies paid out will be deducted from the rents. Now, did you send him any such notice?
No, because at this time, I guess he got tired of me calling him. We came to a mutual agreement. He said that they get over 20 and 30 houses a month, and that we will be first on a list. He would send us copies of the listing that he had for available 3- and 4-bedroom homes with our price range and somewhere that was close for us, you know, where we were staying at. And he told me that he would use my security deposit for my first month's rent for the new place.
He got your permission to use the security deposit to cover some of the balance.
Yes, sir. And he sent us a copy of a leasing ad with like 10 or 15 properties on it, and we went and looked at them.
May I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
When is it that you attempted to get the utility, the gas utility, in your name?
I didn't. I don't know what happened. When I got to, we packed up the house, and once we got to start calling Joe and his brother to get the keys to the house, then they called me back and said the house was taken. Someone had put a deposit on the house, and that's what they told me when I found the first house. They told me that a young man had already come and put $300 down on the house, and I put the full $1,600 down, and they gave me the house.
She never did.
That's
why
what I'm
it's
saying,
not
Your Honor.
reflected.
Okay, now, I've got your proof. Let's go to the defendant. Give me your version of facts.
Well, the facts are, she moved in, we found out the boiler was bad. Whenever we find out something's bad, we put it in for the maintenance. Maintenance comes, corrects it. So what I did is, if you notice, her November's rent was $0.
Can you tell him why it was $0, Joe? Can you tell him why did you tell me?
Because you needed
Why?
the heat down.
No,
so
no. Can you
took
tell
your
him what you told me
$100.
on the phone? Why you told me I didn't have to pay rent for November?
Well,
you said,
well, he's going there. He's
but he's
already
trying to
given
make
me
it
an
seem like he did me a
explanation in his
favor.
answer.
Well, it
Be
was. You
patient
didn't pay
enough
for
to
it
let
was not a
him.
favor, Joe.
You're
I'm
not
pretty
going to
sure it
find
was a
out
favor.
anything. Hold on, stop.
Okay,
You're
I'm
not
sorry.
going to find out. You're not going to hear anything unless you give him a chance to answer. But at this time, or however, at this time, I'd like to hear something about his however relative to the cessation of rent payments for the month of April. Now, let's let him finish, all right? Keep going.
So after the November thing got cleared up, we deal with about 300 houses in the Detroit area. So people are nonstop in and out, coming through our office wanting a house. Somebody did put a deposit down on the house she was interested in, and we have to go with that
Well, let
because
me
we
ask
don't
you a
own
question.
these houses. We manage
This is a
them.
corporate entity that owns these property rights.
We manage them for owners. They're owned by different guys. So
Owned by different property owners. You simply are an employee of a management company, or are you some
I'm the
participant
owner of
a management company?
Correct.
You manage the place.
I manage the place. So what I do is I have to go with what money's given, what money's not given, and that's how I base everything. And in January,
So you're managing this for an absentee property owner.
correct.
So you're not the landlord, you're the management for the landlord.
Correct.
We'll be back with more Judge Joe Brown in a moment.
So we gave her another $400 credit. Then she comes in and she goes, I need another credit. Obviously taking advantage of this system that we have in place for her.
It's Joe time after this.
We're back with Judge Joe Brown. The plaintiff in this case says she decided to rent a home the defendant was managing. She says the boiler had problems that caused heating issues during a Detroit winter. Let's see what the judge has to say.
Keep going.
Where in January, she was complaining her heat bill was $400, which is normal. So in order to, since she didn't pay us, and this was on the 20th, I said, all right, we'll take $400 off then so you can pay your bills. Even though in your lease, it clearly states you're responsible, which you circle each thing, you're responsible for your own utilities. Apparently, you know, some people just need some help, so that's why we're there. So then comes February, when we finally get a payment on February 7th, 2 months and 1 day since her most previous payment, December 8th. Then she comes in and she goes, I need another credit, obviously taking advantage of this system that we have in place for her. So we gave her another $400 credit. Because again, if that house goes vacant, she can't afford it, it goes vacant, I go through the eviction, there's a good chance in the wintertime somebody's
I
going to break
know
in.
that somebody will break in and decide to avail themselves of shelter from the harsh
Right,
Detroit
so I
winter.
talk to the owners and I get the okay. I go, for $400 credit, you make it easier for her to afford the place, and you're not sitting with a vacant house that's going to cost you more than $400. That's how we got the credit. Then March came, couldn't reach her, left numerous notes on her door, couldn't reach her. Then I finally went there, one of my guys went there, and she happened to be home and he got a $400 payment from her. And then, I don't know, she said the payment to DTE didn't get made, which doesn't surprise me. And then she got kicked off the payment plan.
Can I say something real quick, Your Honor?
Please.
Okay. This is the thing. The reason why they had what was the amount paid in February?
Well, hold on a second. Hold on a second. Hold on. Let's stop. There's a claim for past due rentals in the amount of $2,000, and it details what is ordered as part of the judgment entered against you. Now, did you defend this?
Yes, we went to court.
Now, what you're talking about is essentially something that would have been an appropriate set-off or credit, and this order does not reflect any such credit being allowed. So you can't come back in after the fact and collaterally attack it.
We went to court and he told me that.
That's not in writing. This deals with property, and you can't just talk about what you said
And
and
the
what
court
was discussed. It's got to be in writing. And on this particular location, he is not the property owner. He does not own the property rights. He merely has a business that manages the property interest of others. You're 27. Your fiance is 27. He started his own business. He's 25.
Good for him.
Now, you see, this is about business. It's
point.
nothing personal. It's how people get their bills paid. So
My
he
point.
doesn't want to be in your situation. So what you need to do is learn the law. So you don't have a leg to stand on. Your complaint is denied.
This courtroom is now in recess.
Ah, the boiler made me do it. The plaintiff claimed the heating drama justified all her actions, but she'd already received financial credit. This claim is denied. We'll be right back.